Super pumped for today's show because a surprise Switch game is now dropping in September. We've got Ubisoft bringing even more to the next gen, and that Switch 2 release date, it's apparently not what most people thought. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all doing fantastic out there. We've got a ton to discuss, so we're going to dive straight in. This is the best place for Nintendo news in about 10 minutes flat, and so we are going to roll. Thank you so much for all your support and for being here. First thing I want to tell you is that Bakoo is coming to Nintendo Switch in the United States September 3rd. This game was featured on a past Japan Direct, and it looks sick. It is a 3D platformer with action combat, awesome art style, and incredible enemy design. Like the main bad guy hits you with, I can't tell if it's a chocolate-covered banana or a pastry with sprinkles. Either way, he's hitting you with food. I'm all about that. There's transformations, there's new attacks, there's side-scrolling stages, there's theme parks, there's all sorts of different modern, messed up, weird-looking, really cool Japanese prefectures. It seems like a super cool game. It's made by Good Feel. Those are the folks who are behind a bunch of Kirby and Yoshi games that are already on the Switch. And I think this one is going to be really fun. Add it to the September calendar. Don't really have much in August, and then we're waiting till Echoes of Wisdom at the end of September. So this coming in clutch September 3rd is really fantastic. Have any of you played this demo? It dropped a demo alongside the announcement, and so you can go check it out right now. I'd love to know if you're pumped for it, or if you've already played it, if I should be pumped for it too. Meanwhile, the Lexar Play Card is the best way to ensure you are set for every game that comes out, because this is the best, safest, and fastest way to store all of your Switch games, all of your saves, and all of your downloadable titles. They've got memory cards up to 1 terabyte in size, increased speed, and they are so darn reliable. A terabyte card can basically have you covered forever, but there's smaller sizes to fit your needs. Every time you click the link in the description down below, it helps support the channel and allows me to keep making this show each and every day. So thank you for clicking. Appreciate your support. And of course, thanks to Lexar. Now, big thanks to not Christopher Dring for the not so hot news today about Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I actually feel like this is what's really going to happen, and I believed that this was going to happen, so I'm not too surprised, and I don't think it's bad. It sure is not Holiday 2025, which was scaring the pants off of me. Instead, it's not Q1 2025. Now, most people have been pegging Switch 2 for a launch in the same time window as Nintendo Switch 1, which was, hey, it's out March, remember? March 2017, Switch 1 was unleashed and our lives were forever made better. But Nintendo has made an interesting comment, which is that they will reveal the new system this fiscal year, which wraps up at the end of March. And that wording is very odd because Nintendo, yes, they are very coy, they are very secretive, they are very cautious, but why talk about an announcement when you could say a release? The release would make the investors go gaga, even if the system wasn't formally announced and confirmed yet. Just knowing that, hey, something's coming out in the next fiscal year, that's going to boost your price. So if Nintendo was sure of that, wouldn't they have done just that? Instead, they said it will be revealed, which opens the door for a later launch. Now, many have gone towards holiday as that potential later launch period, but Christopher Dring on a game industry podcast has said that no developer I've spoken to expects it to launch in this financial year. In fact, they've been told not to expect it in this financial year. A bunch of people I spoke to hope it's out in April/May time, still early next year, not late. This to me is the perfect storm. This is when I think it will launch as well. April/May is barely ahead of March, but it does allow Nintendo a little bit more leeway and a little more build-up for this console. It gives them flexibility because if it's an April/May launch, you can talk about this thing in January and still have 5 solid months, depending on dates, to prep, hype, market, and then unleash your system. We know Nintendo wants to build up as much of a stockpile as possible so there aren't shortages. They can't get completely hoodwinked by all sorts of scalpers and create this exorbitant eBay scene that's obnoxious for us trying to get our hands on one. And they've got games that, they're working on to try and get ready for launch. Also, depending on third parties and what they're prepping, maybe April/May is just a better window to have a more solid lineup and to ensure that there are no gaps and delays. Look, at the end of the day, if Nintendo drops the system in March, but then April is empty, we might be able to just release the thing in April and then have it be consistent in terms of regular releases. That worked so well for Switch 1, and what's the difference between May and March? 2 months, not that much time. We've already waited 8 years. I think this is totally fine. In fact, I think you should read this as good news because it's basically saying that people are expecting this thing out in April or May. Developers are expecting this system to launch in April or May, which is soon. Okay, April is like what? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, like 8 months away, 7, 8 months away. May is like 8, 9 months away. So less than a year, baby. I can do that. You can do that. We can make that wait. The worst case would be that they're told it's not this fiscal year and they don't know when, but April or May, like it's not this fiscal year, but it's early Q2, which is exactly what I was discussing yesterday. I thought that's a very likely scenario where this system does not mirror exactly Switch 1, but does come out a little bit later, and Nintendo sort of steals this summer spotlight to really hype up their system and get in after the winter season, after people have recovered kind of from their holiday purchases. Because remember, last time, nobody was buying the Wii U holiday 2016. All their Nintendo bucks were saved over for the Switch 1. Now this year, there's cool games to get, maybe even more surprises, waiting for us in an upcoming Direct, and so Nintendo needs that holiday period to cool off, people to re-get back some expendable income, and then boom, April, you're ready to spend. I think this is fantastic news. The thing I will say though, and this is a caveat but kind of a big one, Christopher Dring is from GameIndustry.biz. That is a reputable site. They are very focused on the industry, and so I'm sure he does have contacts and connections with developers and sources that would be in the know about this sort of thing. But Chrissy Dring was also the guy who told us that after Tears of the Kingdom, there were no major Switch games. He basically said that last year was going to be empty after Tears of the Kingdom, and then we got Mario Wonder, and we got Mario RPG, and now look how many games we're getting this year. So there's a grain of salt element to this, and sure, you can interpret Christopher Dring's statements however you want. Maybe he wasn't all the way right, maybe he wasn't all the way wrong, but we've heard more and more lately about the Switch 2. There's been a lot of different things coming together from, Assassin's Creed Shadows is really targeting early Switch 2 launch. We've got people talking about, hey, there's these added fans, there's possible fast charging, there might be some sort of streaming gimmick. And now it makes sense that a launch window would start to come into sight. And this is identifiable also because we're getting shipping manifestos. People are looking at parts being shipped around and helping to identify, okay, what is the general specs of this system, and is manufacturing getting mobilized so that they are ready to go and ready to really lock down store shelves with all sorts of Switch 2 consoles. More and more is going to come out as time continues. Supposedly they're shifting up a Direct. Maybe there is an announcement in 2024. I still think that's very possible, but an April-May date does allow Nintendo to either announce this thing right at the tail end of 2024 or even early 2025, depending on how they want to do things, depending on how they want to structure things. And in the same podcast, Christopher Dring does say that it seems like Nintendo wants to sell as many Switch 1s as possible. That would indicate to me more of a 2025 reveal, and that still fits in Nintendo's time frame of promising to reveal the system this fiscal, but it does allow the Switch 1 to have the entire holiday season. And if that's the case, I do think that we're going to get a Direct that's going to fill out the release schedule, give us updates on games, and maybe prep a little more, because this also gives Nintendo all of Q1 to continue to release Switch 1 software without competition of a Switch 2 console, although it's going to be more remaster-style games like Donkey Kong Country Returns HD versus new things, because they know many will be saving their cash for the upcoming system. Now, speaking of that upcoming system, Nash Weedle is back after yesterday's big Assassin's Creed Shadow drop. Not really shadow drop, but drop of news about Assassin's Creed Shadows, where Necrophilippe also chimed in and said he's heard exactly the same thing, that AC Shadows is supposed to launch on Switch 2 during the launch window. Now, Nash Weedle is also adding Skull and Bones to that list, which frankly is far less exciting. But it does just go to show you that Ubisoft is going to be very committed to the Switch 2. Skull and Bones is that pirate ship sailing game that took years and eons to come out and then finally did and lost Ubisoft hundreds of millions of dollars. I remember playing this thing back in like 2017, 2016. Goodness gracious, they were working on that game for a very long time, and I don't really care about it on Switch. But what I do care about is consistent support. That shows that Ubisoft is willing to take their entire catalog, not just their tentpole title of Assassin's Creed Shadows, not just smaller games like indies or something like Immortals Phoenix Rising, but the whole cavalcade. Bring everything to Switch, and that's what we want from third parties. What you bring to PlayStation and Xbox, you now bring to Switch too. And if that's the precedent we can set and establish for EA, for Ubisoft, for Activision, for Microsoft, for all these companies, What a wonderful world it will be where we're getting so many super cool games on Switch, and hopefully they can run Superstar well. Let me know what you think of an April-May launch for Switch 2. I feel like that's perfect. It's not really a delay, even though I see Switch 2 delay trending on Twitter. I don't think of that as a delay. April is basically March. May is basically March. In fact, to me, it's like thumbs up because it's not talking about it releasing in the holiday, which is too far, too sad, too scary. April, May, I'm here for it. Let me know your take in the comments down below, everybody. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.